Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another exciting episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. And before we go ahead and get things started, I just would like to go ahead and point out that considering that we are really close to the end of the year, yes, 2018 will soon come to a close, that could only mean one thing, that we are going to start a brand new year, and soon it's going to be award season. And I can definitely tell you right now, for some reason this week, we already got things started with so much award show announcements. Not only nominations have been revealed, which I will get to later, but also we have seen some reports regarding some of the hosts. Like for the Golden Globes, they got Sandra Oh and Andy Samberg, and even for the Oscars, they actually got Kevin Hart to be the host for 2 days. And then soon afterwards, he decided to quit. Mainly because, for some reason, not apologizing for doing something stupid in your past seems to be a lot more important than doing something that you would consider your dream job. But you know what? Screw that homophobic prick, and screw all homophobic pricks, they don't even deserve to have any sort of job anyways, because that would leave room for the Muppets to probably be the host of the Oscars. That would actually be an amazing idea, and actually be a great idea in order to bring back some popularity and some notoriety for the Oscars as well. But anyways, with all that said though, yes, we do have a pretty exciting episode, not just revealing a lot of nominations, but also in terms of many different news that happen all around in animation, which I cannot wait to go ahead and discuss them with you guys. So, with all that said and done, are you guys ready for today's episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast? Are you ready to learn about the brand new nominations that we have so far? Alright, let me just see. Are people ready right now? Alright, yes, we got some that are ready. Alright, okay, finally. Now the wave is starting to come in. Perfect, the chat wall is ready. I'm definitely ready, so I think with all that said, we might as well go and get things started with our first story. Now, since this is AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast, we might as well start with the award show that is completely dedicated to animation. And I'm talking, of course, about the Annie Awards. That's right. Seafall Hollywood has officially revealed its list of the animated features and the animated shorts and all sorts of projects that are nominated for the 46th Annual Annie Awards. And before I go ahead and get things started by looking into many of the individual awards and stuff like that, let me go ahead and get things started by telling you guys about the big nominations. So the first 10 nominations, or the first 10 categories actually, they're pretty much the big ones that are really worth highlighting. So I just want to go ahead and start things off with that. Okay, so to begin, let's go ahead and start things off with the Annie Awards, the nominations for Best Student Film. And they include A Blink of an Eye, Best Friend, Facing It, Och Pissed, and Sister. And now let's go into the television categories. And we're going to start things off with Best TV Show in the Preschool category, in which they are Ask the Storybots, Dino Trucks Supercharge, Hey Dougie, PJ Masks, and Tumbleleaf. And now we also got the category for Best TV Show for Kids. And the nominees for them are Hilda, Kung Fu Panda, The Paws of Destiny, Little Big Awesome, The Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and Tales of Arcadia Troll Hunters. And the final one for the television category is for the general audience. And the nominees for those are Big Mouth, Bob's Burgers, BoJack Horseman, Human Kind of, and finally, The Venture Brothers. So now we're going to go and move on to the next one, which we got is Best Animated Commercial. And the nominees for those are Goldfish at the Fair, Greenpeace, There's Orangutan in My Bedroom, the Olympics commercial for Illumination's The Grinch, JD.com, Joy and Heron, and The Fearless Are Here. And then we're going to move on to a brand new category. This is the first time that this category has appeared in the Annie Awards, which is the Annie Award for Best Virtual Reality Production. And the nominees for those are Age of Sail, Battlescar, Crow the Legend, Mind Palace, and finally Moss. And now let's go into the category for Best Animated Short. And the nominees for those are Grandpa Walrus, Lost and Found, Solar Walk, Untravel, and Weekends. And now let's go into the category for Best Animated Special Production. Now this one is pretty much a variety, so you never know what to expect in this one. So the nominees for those are Back to the Moon, Mary Poppins Returns, The Emperor's Newest Clothes, and The Highway Rat. And then we got the big ones, which is for Best Animated Feature. So let's start off with Best Independent Animated Feature. And the nominees for those are Ce Magnifique Gâteau, MFKZ, Mirai, Ruben Brandt Collector, and Tito and the Birds. And so, last but certainly not least, we got the Annie Award for Best Animated Feature. So, are you ready, guys? Okay, so the nominees for Best Animated Feature at this year's Annie Awards are Early Man, Incredibles 2, Isle of Dogs, Ralph Breaks the Internet, and finally Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. And on top of that, not only do I want to go and highlight those categories, but also we got the Juried Award as well, in which they're also pretty important to go and highlight. So, of course, the Juried Awards are some of the Lifetime Achievement Awards, the Humanitarian Awards, the Technical Awards, and all that kind of stuff. So, I'm going to go bit by bit in here. So, let's go ahead and start things off with the Winsor McKay Award, which is the Lifetime Achievement in Animation. And there are 3 recipients this year, which includes Pixar veteran Ralph Eggleston. And then we also got the first African-American animator, animation director, and guild president Frank Braxton. And we also got casting director, and voice actress Andrea Romano. And then we also got the June Foray Award for the significance and benevolent impact on the animation community, which will belong to Adam Bork, who is the Pixar animator who has unfortunately passed away this year due to cancer. And then for the iWorks Award, which is for the technological impact of animation, this year shall go to Ton Roosendaal, who is the Dutch software developer and film producer who has also created the Blender open source animation software, in which if you have played a little bit with animation, then you're probably familiar with Blender. Even I have actually played with Blender a few times in the past. And finally, we also got the Certificate of Merit, which will go to the ASIFA volunteer Jason Jones. And so, now that we got those out of the way, let's go ahead and check out the individual awards. Now, I'm not going to be reading all of them, but what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go and pick out on each movie and each TV show as well, and we're going to go and list down how much they actually got a nomination. And this year, it seems that Disney is definitely taking the lead, with both Incredibles 2 and Ralph Breaks the Internet grabbing the most Annie Awards, where Incredibles 2 has the most with 11, and Ralph Breaks the Internet has 10. However, they're not alone when it comes to gathering a whole bunch of Annie Award nominations. We also got both Early Man and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse showing up as strong competitors, where they both got 7 nominations each. Meanwhile, the other animated film that is nominated for Best Animated Feature, Isle of Dogs, has only gotten 4 of them, but still holding on pretty strong in terms of some of the categories. However, just because all of those are nominated for Best Animated Features doesn't necessarily mean that the other ones that aren't nominated don't get recognized as well. We got movies such as The Grinch, Hotel Transylvania 3, Summer Vacation, and Next Gen. They each got 3 nominations this year. And then we also got the independent animated features like Mirai and Ruben Brandt Collector, in which not only do they get a nomination for Best Independent Animated Feature, but in total they got 2 nominations each. Meanwhile, Warner Brothers, well, they're kind of lacking a little bit behind since each of their movies only got 1 nomination each. You got Smallfoot, which is nominated for Best Music, and you got Teen Titans Go to the Movies, which got nominated for Best Writing. However, even though they don't got as much as some of like the Disney ones or like Early Man or Spider-Man and stuff like that, they still got more than Sherlock Gnomes and Sergeant Stubby, An American Hero, in which those 2 films, they're not even on this list. They did not get any form of recognition or nominations or anything like that. They are shafted way behind, which I can understand for Sergeant Stubby because that is a little bit too small of a feature film to get recognized by any form of award shows or any of like the big ones like the Annies, the Golden Globes, the Oscars, and all that kind of stuff. But with Sherlock Gnomes, I am a little bit disappointed that it didn't get at least 1 nomination because, yeah, it is a really bad film, and it is one of the most unnecessary sequels ever created, but at least with the animation, there is some good craftsmanship in there. There are some merits in the animation that are very well worth noting, and it could have at least gotten at least 1 or 2 nomination in some of the animation categories. But, yeah, like, I can understand, yeah, the movie sucks, it is horrible, but, yeah, Sherlock Gnomes, like, it didn't get a nomination, I get that, but, you know, it would have been nice to see at least 1 or 2 nominations for what it did in the animation. Okay, so with that said, though, there's also the TV shows that we have here, in which it is not a landslide at all. It is very much a variety through and through. It's not like, it's not like with the movies where you got 1 film or you got a few films that got a whole bunch of nominations. At the most, there are 2 projects here, Disney Mickey Mouse and Age of Sail. They both got 4 nominations each, and that is the most that a project that is on television or any other form, or in this case, like with virtual reality, that's the most that they could gather. But in terms of the ones that got repeated nominations, the ones that have received 3 nominations each in terms of TV shows include The Adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle, Back to the Moon, Hilda, Nico and the Sword of Light, Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and Rapunzel's Tangled Adventures and Tangled the Series. I decided to combine those 2 because, well, they are technically the same show. But then also at the same time, you got a whole bunch of shows that got 2 nominations, and those include Ask the Storybots, Big Hero 6 the Series, Big Mouth, BoJack Horseman, Little Big Awesome, Star vs. the Forces of Evil, Super Mansion, Tales of Arcadia Troll Hunters, Tales of Arcadia 3 Below, and finally, Tumbleleaf. So that's pretty much the entire analysis with all the nominations for the 46th Annie Awards. Whew, boy, that is definitely a mouthful. And honestly, this is a very interesting list that we got here so far. It definitely wasn't like last year where there are only 2 movies that were very prominent in gathering the most nominations, which if you recall, in last year's Annie Awards, it was mostly Coco and, what was it again? Oh yeah, Coco and The Breadwinner that was mostly gathering up all the nominations, while the rest collected like just bit by bit, one by one, you know, just getting a little bit of recognition, and that's pretty much it. But those were the 2 that are highlighted. But this year, there seems to be a lot more competition, not just with the Disney films, but also with Early Man coming in, and also Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. So those movies are definitely showing a lot of competition, all scattered way around the nominees and stuff like that. So there is a very strong chance that we're not going to see a total landslide. Like, I have a very strong feeling that this is definitely not going to be like last year, where Coco was the big winner and literally took every movie category it can, with the exception of Best Independent Animated Feature, because it wasn't nominated for that one. But if it was, it would have won for that one as well. So I'm not going to see a landslide, and I'm sure there are going to be some movies, especially with Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, I could see it gather a few Annies of its own, but for the most part, maybe like the big winner is most likely it's most likely excuse me. As I was saying before I was like stuttering, I could definitely see Incredibles 2, or maybe even Ralph Breaks the Internet, being the big winner this year at the Annie Awards. Most likely Incredibles 2, because that also got the most Annie nominations. That could be the big winner in some of the big categories, but we'll have to wait and see. What I'm trying to say is that what I'm seeing in the future for this year's Annie Awards is going to be a little bit similar with the 2016 movies, where it's not necessarily a huge landslide for one film, but we are seeing a little bit of a variety, and for the most part, it will be Disney that will get a lot of them. Where, like, Zootopia was the big winner, but also Moana and Kubo and the Two Strings also gathered their own Annie Awards as well. And I'm expecting a little bit the same thing. Incredibles 2 is going to be the big Annie Awards winner, where it's going to get some of the main Annie Awards like Best Directing, Best Writing, and Best Animated Feature. Meanwhile, movies like Ralph Breaks the Internet, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and maybe Early Man as well, is going to gather up their own Annie Awards. So we're going to see a little bit more of a variety as well. Now, I will say, though, if there is one thing I would like to comment that I am a bit disappointed at this year's Annies, is really the fact that Isle of Dogs didn't get as much nominations. And for me, Isle of Dogs, I feel like it's definitely the best original animated feature of the year. And by original, I mean one that is not based on anything, one that's not a sequel to anything, one that's not a follow-up, one that is not based on anything. It's like it's pure original thing. And I feel like at that point, it definitely does deserve to get a little bit more recognition, but it is a bit disappointed that it only get 4 nominations. And some of these categories are not even some of the big ones. Like, surprisingly, Isle of Dogs didn't get nominated for Best Writing, and yeah, like right over here, where Best Writing goes to Incredibles 2, Mirai, Ralph Breaks the Internet, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and Teen Titans Go to the Movies, and it's not even it didn't even get nominated for Best Directing either, if I could just find it right over here. I think it's, oh, okay, yeah, I think, no, wait, where is it? Wait, okay, character design. Ah, there we go, Best Directing. Yeah, like, in Best Directing, like, we don't see Isle of Dogs here. It's only Early Man, Hotel Transylvania 3, Ralph Breaks the Internet, and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. And which, I gotta say, this one I gotta call a little bit bullcrap, because you're willing to go and nominate Genndy Tartakovsky for what he lazily did with Hotel Transylvania 3, but not Wes Anderson for Isle of Dogs. Honestly, the only thing I could say about that is just, bruh. But in all seriousness, I am just a little bit disappointed that Isle of Dogs didn't get as much nominations. I'm not saying that it deserves the most nominations in the ranks of, like, of Disney and Pixar with what they did with Ralph Breaks the Internet or Incredibles 2, but I do feel like Isle of Dogs would be more of a legitimate, more of a legitimate competitor up against, like, with Early Man and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I do wish that it would have gotten a little bit more recognition. But I will say, if there is one major surprise that I got through all this, is that there is actually one other film that is actually a major competitor and got more nominations than most animated features this year. And what I'm talking about is actually Mary Poppins Returns. Yes, Mary Poppins Returns is actually pretty legit in this year's Annie Awards, where it actually gathered up 5 Annie nominations. So I've already mentioned before that it's already nominated for Best Animated Special Production, but at the same time, there are also other categories that it got, if I could just find a few of them right here. Like, of course, it would get a nomination for Outstanding Achievement for Character Animation in a Live-Action Production, where it is also nominated against Avengers Infinity War, Christopher Robin, Paddington 2, and The Nutcracker in the Four Realms. But at the same time, we do see it in other categories as well, surprisingly enough. And some of these would include Best Character Design in an Animated Feature. It's also nominated, let me see here. That is the third one. It's also nominated for Best Production Design in an Animated Feature. And it's also nominated for Best Storyboarding in an Animated Feature. So yeah, we don't necessarily have to rule out just the animated films, because there is a very strong possibility that we could see Mary Poppins Returns actually gathered, it might end up gathering a few Annie Awards of itself, or maybe it might walk off with an Annie or two. So yeah, this year we got some very serious competition. And for me, like I said before, I'm pretty much expecting, realistically, that Incredibles 2 could be the big winner of this year's Annies. I mean, if it can manage that much Annie nominations, then I'm sure it could walk away with some of the big ones, especially with the fact that it currently is one of the highest grossing animated features ever, where it got really, really close to Frozen, not by much to dethrone Elsa, but it really is just up there. So I'm sure with that kind of impact, Incredibles 2 really is going to be the major winner at this year's Annies, but I'm not expecting it to be a total landslide. Of course, there is a good chance we'll also see Ralph Breaks the Internet, Early Man, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, or even Mary Poppins Returns, or maybe even Isle of Dogs walk away with an Annie Award. But overall, we'll just have to go ahead and wait and see. I do believe they stated that it's going to be on February 2nd, that it's going to be the Annie Awards, I believe. I'm sure it's, I'm probably sure it's February 2nd. If not, you guys can feel free to correct me. But this is all to say, congratulations to all the people who got nominated at this year's Annie Awards, and best of luck until the award show actually does come on February 2nd. So, with all that said and done, I would like to go into the chat wall right over here, and I would like to ask, what do you think about this year's nominees for the Annie Awards? Are you guys excited for it? Are you guys a little bit disappointed? So, I just want to know, do you think, who do you think could be the big winner? Who do you think, might end up getting it? So just let me know in the chat wall. Let's see now. All right. I think this year's winner is Ralph Breaks the Internet for referencing our Lord and Savior Tamatoa. All praise Almighty Coconut Crab God. Okay, so we already got a point for Ralph Breaks the Internet. We got... Actually, man, I don't even remember. Where is it that Tamatoa got a cameo? I don't think I even caught that, actually. Oh, let's see. What else do we got here? Why would Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles be nominated for the Annie Awards? Wouldn't it be better if it was strictly for the Kids' Choice Awards? I don't know. It got some nominations. And I mean, it only got 3, so I don't think there's anything much to complain about, especially with the TV show category where almost everybody got a nomination. So, it's on Moana's casual. Oh, Moana's casual shirt. Oh, that's true. Okay. Thank you for reminding me of that, JF. Okay, now I remember seeing it. Okay, let's see. British films should be nominated more, like the 2005 Curse of the Were-Rabbit, but ever since with all these awards, it's always been the US films. I sense some crud against Britain. Okay, so someone is definitely voting for Early Man here. But yeah, I'll be honest though. For me, I would like to see a bit of a switch between Early Man and Isle of Dogs, because Isle of Dogs is definitely the superior stop-motion animated feature of 2018 compared to Early Man. So, yeah, I do get what you mean, but it's just, this year, in terms of the American animated features, they really did play hard, especially with stuff like Incredibles 2 and Ralph Breaks the Internet, and what's going to be coming up with Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I can't say just yet of... how it is. I haven't seen the movie yet, so we'll just have to wait and see. Let's see. I believe Spider-Verse is going to win because I'm seeing the movie getting more recognition so far, including on the Golden Globes, but still Into the Spider-Verse should have gotten more because I believe it might win. You say that, but I don't know. I'm sure Spider-Verse could actually get some wins, but I don't think it's going to get enough wins to surpass Incredibles 2. And yes, like, even though it did get recognition at places like Golden Globes, which we will get to later, that doesn't necessarily mean suddenly, oh my god, it's going to be the one that will steal all the awards from Disney and stuff like that. No. Like, think realistically, man. That ain't gonna happen. Okay, so, let's see now. Isle of Dogs is a co-production with Britain and the US, so it does count. Oh, okay. So, I guess it does count, especially with the fact that it is, like, a stop-motion film. And when you do think about it, there are a lot of stop-motion films, especially, like, even the ones that are mainly made in America, where they are actually co-productions with some British productions, like not just with Isle of Dogs, but also with Fantastic Mr. Fox, and even some of the Tim Burton ones, like Corpse Bride and Frankenweenie, actually. So you do bring up a good point. So I think with all that said, a lot of people definitely have their say in terms of who they think is going to win and what they think about the nominees. And we definitely do have a great variety of people who think who's going to win. Like, I see Incredibles 2, I see Into the Spider-Verse, I see Early Man, I see Ralph, I see like a whole variety of it. Like, Early Man, Incredibles 2, Isle of Dogs, Ralph Breaks the Internet, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. It's all up in the air, but we'll just have to go and wait and see. However, now that we are done with the Annie Awards, we are not entirely done with our little adventure with awards in general, because there is one other award show that revealed its entire list of all the categories for their award show. And what I'm going to be talking about, of course, shall be the Golden Globe Awards. Yes, the 76th Annual Golden Globe Awards has officially revealed its list of nominees, on top of the host as well, which I already mentioned is going to be... Ooh, excuse me. No, it's not going to be a burp, but rather it's going to be Sandra Oh and Andy Samberg. And with the Golden Globes, as we all know, might as well be considered the appetizers of the award season, since it's always the first one to just launch things off and begin the award ceremonies all throughout the world. And this one in particular, actually, is going to start pretty early on January 6th. Now, before we go ahead and get things started onto the animation category, let me just go ahead and point out the ones that are nominated for Best Motion Picture. And with the Golden Globes, there are two different categories for that. So, for Best Motion Picture in Drama, the nominees there are Black Panther, Black Klansman, Bohemian Rhapsody, If Beale Street Could Talk, and A Star Is Born. And meanwhile, we also got Best Motion Picture for Musical or Comedy, and the nominations for there are Crazy Rich Asians, The Favorite, Green Book, Mary Poppins Returns, and Vice. And all throughout the categories that we have seen, for the most part, it's those 10 movies that are pretty much competing against each other for the categories on each of them. Now, by the way, also on a side note, I'm not going to be going fully into the television category. I'm not that familiar with it, so we're just going to be focusing on the movies category for now, or the movie categories, I meant. But yes, so basically, what you see in terms of all the other categories, for the most part, it's those 10 movies that are going to be prominently popping up, like Mary Poppins Returns, or Vice, or Crazy Rich Asians, Green Book, even some for Black Panther, The Favorite, If Beale Street Could Talk, and all that kind of stuff. So it's mostly going to be those categories. But now let's go ahead and get into Best Motion Picture in the animation category. And we got a pretty fascinating list so far. So, the nominees for Best Animated Feature at the Golden Globe Awards are Incredibles 2, Isle of Dogs, Mirai, Ralph Breaks the Internet, and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. And also, on a side note, it seems that this is not going to be the only place where we would find animated features, because there is one animated film that decided to go a little bit up and beyond by getting nominated for not one, but 2 Golden Globe Awards, and that actually is with Isle of Dogs. Even though it didn't get as much nomination at the Annies, Isle of Dogs actually got the most Golden Globe nominations for an animated feature, where not only is it nominated for Best Animated Film, but also it is nominated for Best Original Score, where it will be up against A Quiet Place, Black Panther, First Man, and Mary Poppins Returns. So it's going to be some pretty tight competition for Isle of Dogs, but at least getting the recognition of 2 Golden Globe Awards is definitely great and definitely puts itself a little step higher than some of its other competitors like Incredibles 2, Mirai, Ralph Breaks the Internet, and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. And I will definitely say with this list right over here, this is a very satisfactory list for Best Animated Feature. Now, if you may remember last year, it was definitely a questionable list of categories that got nominated for Best Animated Film. Like, yeah, we could definitely agree for stuff like Coco and The Breadwinner, Loving Vincent, but then you also got the 2 random ones that don't even deserve to get a nomination, like The Boss Baby and Ferdinand. It was like the most what the fridge moment. It was like, why are these things here? Why did they even get any form of recognition? But with this one right over here, I don't think there's any question about it. Even though, for me, myself, I have yet to see movies such as Mirai and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, I could definitely see how each and every single movie definitely got their own recognition for the Golden Globes to get a nomination. And there is one thing I would like to point out. Something that way back when I made my predictions of who could be nominated for Best Animated Feature and stuff like that, it looks like there is one thing that I could actually be wrong about, and that is the choice of the, the choice for the independent animated film, because it looks like Mirai is actually going to be the big one that will get recognized the most, which is actually great because that will definitely give a lot more attention to Mamoru Hosoda, who has already made a whole bunch of fascinating Japanese animated features. So major congrats to him for even getting recognized at the Golden Globes. That's already even more of a step up than the Oscars, because especially with the Golden Globes, like, it would be pretty rare that they would even recognize independent animated features, but in recent years they are starting to step up their game and started to give them more recognition, which they would also go and nominate stuff like My Life as a Zucchini and what I've already mentioned before with The Breadwinner and Loving Vincent. So major congrats to Mirai on that part. And I will say right now, with Isle of Dogs right now, I don't necessarily know if it is actually going to be a big win for that. I do feel like at this point, Isle of Dogs could have a better chance to actually go and be nominated for, to actually go and get Best Original Score than it is for Best Animated Feature. Now, I don't know specifically how Best Original Score is going to go. Maybe it's not going to win, but it definitely is cool that it did get that form of recognition. It's a great original animated feature, and it definitely deserves to get those nominations, but in terms of the wins, it definitely is a wait and see. But I do feel like for Best Original Score, it has a better chance there than it would for Best Animated Feature, because for me, in my opinion, I would definitely say Incredibles 2 is going to be the big winner, where for the most part, all throughout several different award shows, I feel like Incredibles 2 is going to be the one that's going to walk away with the most Best Animated Feature wins, where it will be into some tough competition where it's going to be up against frequently with stuff like Isle of Dogs and Ralph Breaks the Internet and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, but I do feel like for the most part, it is going to be Incredibles 2 that could end up getting the win. Now, I could be wrong on that, but honestly, I do feel like it is going to be Incredibles 2 that might end up getting the big ones. And like I said before, I've already mentioned that Incredibles 2 already launched itself as one of the highest grossing animated features of all time, really close to Frozen. So there, honestly, that's where I feel like there is that strong of a chance. And then there are some people that would go, like I already see, and into the chat wall, there's even a troll, so I'm going to go and fix that little issue right now. All right, hopefully that will fix that. Okay, so anyways, now that we got rid of the troll, let's get back into this. I will say that with Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, I know that there are a lot of people that are freaking out over the fact that it actually did win one award for Best Animated Feature. I think it was at the New York City, or I think it was at the New York Film Critics Circle that it actually won for Best Animated Feature. And I don't doubt that at all. And I'm pretty sure that this is not going to be the only Best Animated Feature win that Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse that it's going to have. But I certainly do not think that it's going to be the movie that suddenly, oh, it looks like it could be the one thing that could upset Disney and not get any wins. Spider-Man could be the one that could grab all the Best Animated Feature categories. Hell no, that's not going to happen. If you see an article doing that, that is because they're trying to clickbait the crap out of you. Just because it won one award doesn't mean it's going to win the rest. And FYI, Incredibles 2 already won an award for Best Animated Feature. I believe it's from the New York, from the National Film Reviews Board. I believe it won for Best Animated Feature for that. So yeah, Incredibles 2 already got a win, and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse already got a win. But that doesn't suddenly mean that Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is suddenly going to grab all the Best Animated Features from either Ralph Breaks the Internet or Incredibles 2. And speaking of which, I wouldn't be surprised if Ralph Breaks the Internet could actually get some Best Animated Features in a few places as well. Yeah, National Board of Reviews, thank you. So, that's kind of the big thing. This is not to go and knock down Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I'm not saying that at all. But don't believe the hype that suddenly Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is suddenly gonna rob Disney from all the Best Animated Features categories. So let's just take a moment to be realistic. I do got a feeling that Incredibles 2 is going to be the big winner of most Best Animated Feature categories, and it could most likely be the winner for Best Animated Feature at the Golden Globes. But this is not to undermine any of the other achievements of the other categories as well. And I just would like to go and say congratulations once again to all the nominees who have gotten a nomination at the Golden Globes this year, and especially a major congrats to the crew at Incredibles 2, Isle of Dogs, Mirai, Ralph Breaks the Internet, and yes, even Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse for getting that category. And I will say, I know with Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, I can definitely see there is a strong chance that Into the Spider-Verse will definitely get a nomination in many different places, including the Oscars. It could actually get an Oscar nomination, so just keep an eye out on that. But we'll have to wait and see on who is going to be the winner. Again, like I mentioned before, the Golden Globe Awards is going to be on January 6th, so let's go ahead and keep an eye out on that. So, with all that said, let's go ahead and get into the chat wall right over here, and I want to know from you guys, who do you think is going to be the big winner for the Golden Globe Awards? Or how do you feel about all the nominations that we have gotten at the Golden Globe Awards? Are you guys excited about it? Are you guys happy about it? Do you think we're going to see how it is last year? So let's just wait and see. So let's see now. Okay, just need to go and make sure I can get things in order. I definitely agree with you, Matt. This is a much better selection from last year. Did the Golden Globes finally get to hire animation lovers to vote instead of those who enjoy novelty of baby in business suits and screaming goats? Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully, they kind of knock some sense into the Golden Globes. So, hopefully, we could see the same thing. If it is like last year, where if for the Oscars can be a copy of the list we have here, I would be pretty satisfied in my opinion. Let's see. Incredibles 2 or Ralph Breaks the Internet might win, in my opinion. Okay. I wish Christopher Robin got some nominations at the Golden Globes. Well, I mean, it did get one nomination at the Annies. There is that. Okay. I honestly have my hopes for Spider-Verse since it appears to be one of, if not the best reviewed animated films this year. That's definitely for sure. Let's see. I'm 100% happy with this, but the original songs category sucked because there's no animated films at all. Well, I mean, to be fair for that one, I am a little bit disappointed that there is no Mary Poppins songs for Best Original Song, even though I have yet to see it. It would have been cool to see some more recognition for Mary Poppins, at least just to say, like, yeah, the songs are really that awesome to get nominated. But all that aside, I mean, there isn't much songs linked with animated features that would be worthy to get nominated. At the most I could think of is just Smallfoot, and that's pretty much it. But yeah, like, I could definitely understand how there are no animated features for Best Original Song. Let's see now. Do we have anything else? Let's see. Would be interesting to see Isle of Dogs winning, since there hasn't been a stop motion film winning for Best Animated Film since Wallace and Gromit: Curse of the Were-Rabbit. Honestly, actually, I would agree with you. Honestly, I would be happy if any of them would really get anything. Like, if it's Incredibles 2 or Isle of Dogs, I would I'll definitely be happy with it. Again, I have yet to see Mirai or Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, so I can't say right now if I feel like I would really be happy if that would win that award. So, we'll just have to wait and see on that. But, overall, we'll just, honestly, with this, we'll see. It would be cool, but again, we just have to go and wait and see on that. Okay, so I think we're pretty much all good for this list over here, and I think we're pretty much all good in general when it comes to all the awards. And now it is time that we shall go and get back into animation news. And for the first one that we got right over here is actually going to be a trailer for an upcoming series that has been highly anticipated. And not only is it going to be appearing on BBC, but also people from around the world are going to be coming in, and they're going to check it out on Netflix. So, with that said, let's go ahead and check out the first ever trailer to the computer animated retelling of Watership Down. So yes, folks, that is Watership Down, which, like I said, is going to be airing on BBC and also on Netflix. And I am definitely familiar with Watership Down. Even though I haven't necessarily read the original book by Richard Adams, I have definitely seen, and you probably remembered, I did do a review on the animated feature from the 1970s, which I do have the Criterion version right over here, and it's a really, really good movie. It's one of the darkest animated features out there, but still, it is very well made, and it definitely is worth watching. I highly recommend it. And I can definitely see with this one, I could tell that the spirit is definitely there. It definitely has a lot of ambition that it wants to be like the original Richard Adams novel, where it wants to stay true in terms of the tone of Watership Down. And from there, you would see that it takes itself very seriously. It doesn't want to be something that, oh, the kids and the family can all enjoy it. No, it wants to stay true about the harsh life of these rabbits trying to find a new home and making sure that they could actually stay there and not have, like, the other group of rabbits really go and screw them over, or even go as far as kill them. So you can definitely tell that the spirit is actually there, where it wants to pay respects to the works of Richard Adams. That, and also, I would like to go and point out that even the voice acting is actually pretty strong here. As you probably have noticed, if I may, as you probably noticed right over here, it definitely has an entire list of some big name celebrities and people that we're pretty familiar with. We got people like James McAvoy, John Boyega, Ben Kingsley, Olivia Colman, Nicholas Hoult, Daniel Kaluuya, and Gemma Arterton. Like, these are some very prominent and well-respected actors that are doing their best in order to recreate the story. And there's a lot of really good moments that you can already tell from this trailer. If I could just play the little clip again.
Hazel, you have to believe
I think it's in this part.
Something will come to this place. We can leave now, or we can be destroyed with it.
Good heavens. I mean, good gracious. I mean, we're in.
Yeah, like that part right there. Like, you could tell that there is a lot of ambition. Like, and there's even a lot of there's a lot of heart into it. Like, you could tell that the actors definitely do they definitely do care in terms of delivering a strong story with this adaptation of Watership Down. So it definitely has a lot of ambition in terms of the spirit of it, and it definitely shows that it definitely has a lot of prominent actors that want to do their best in delivering a great performance for this adaptation of Watership Down. However, there is one issue with it, and it's kind of a pretty big issue, and I don't think we can beat around the bush much longer. Holy crap, does this look like... This looks like garbage. This animation is flat out terrible. And even at some points, like, you could check out, it's almost laughable how bad it looks. This looks like something, like, this looks like something out of the freaking 90s. And especially with that, like, that dog right over there. Like, this freaking dog. This is laughable. It's almost laughably bad how poorly rendered it looks. It almost looks like as if the budget was spent way too much on bringing in that prominent cast. Like, to get all those voice actors, they spent the grand majority of its budget, and they didn't really have much left for the animation. So they have to end up with this kind of crap right over here. Oh my god, and you could tell, like, even inside the dog's mouth, how it's, like, poorly lit. Like, his teeth are all prominent, and then, like, you got, like, a void of darkness, like, just leading behind it. It's just downright freaking terrible, I swear. It's just absolutely stupid. But, yeah, it just absolutely looks horrible, and that's one thing that you could tell that even when you look down in the comment section, it's already, like, this series is already getting a whole bunch of backlash for the poor animation. I mean, like, we're pretty much at the levels that this might as well be considered, like, objectively bad. This isn't good at all. I mean, like, I can tell by the designs that it wants to stay true with, like, the realistic style, and even to a certain point, the same kind of style that was delivered with the animated film. Like, you could tell, like, maybe on paper, it looks promising and that they want to do something great, but it's just, the way that it came out, it just looks godforsaken awful. And I mean, like, we're at the end of 2018, so this thing does not have an excuse. Now, I know that technically, this is this is made for television. This is made for Netflix. So I shouldn't be expecting, like, a Pixar or a Disney level budget where the animation would be absolutely phenomenal. But even at that, like, when you do look at computer animated TV shows, they still do hold a bit of a standard. You know, like, you look at stuff that DreamWorks would go and produce, like, their animated TV shows, sure, they don't look as good as the animated films, but there is a bit of a quality in there. This one, however, this does not have quality, and I don't know if they really gave it to an animation studio that actually does produce this kind of animation. Like, do they actually, do they actually go and produce actual full-on animated projects like this? That I don't know. I'm not too familiar on who are the people that created this animation for Watership Down, but honestly, for me, like, yeah, it looks like crap, but I just want to say right now that, let's see, someone in the chat wall, I already noticed, it says, it should have gone for a stylized CGI instead of aiming for realism on the 20 million pound budget, which 20 million pounds, it still is something like 40 million or 30 million, somewhere around that line, but still, I mean, there's just no excuse for this. I mean, with how technology has evolved, we should be better than this. We should be better than delivering animation that looks more primitive than frickin' Toy Story, you know what I mean? But this is all to say, oh, wait a minute, and it says, Brown Bag Films and Biscuit Filmworks are credited. Yeah, okay, I see that. I see. So, Brown Bag Films and Biscuit Filmworks. Yeah, I mean, like, even for those companies right there, even though I'm not too familiar with them, I'm sure they could do better than this. I'm sure they could deliver something better. I don't know what happened behind the scenes that result in us in getting this kind of quality, but yeah, it's just, they can do better. They can definitely do better than this. Good God. But you know what? Honestly, for me with this trailer, like, I'm not going to say it's bad. For me, it's like a pretty mixed bag. For me, it's very mixed in a way that I could definitely see some great things and I could definitely see some really bad things. Like, yes, this animation is a piece of crap. No doubt about it. But again, I can already tell that it wants to stay true to the spirit of the Richard Adams novel. It wants to stay true with the performances, delivering great voice acting from very prominent actors. So honestly, at this point, it really has to make sure that the writing really has to deliver so strong to the point that people can look past the bad animation. If the acting can be superb, if the writing can be spectacular, if the spirit can really stay true with the Richard Adams novel, if the story really is engaging, then it might actually have some promise. But at this point, because of how poor the animation seems to be, at least in this trailer, then honestly, it has to do so much more. Like, honestly, the other elements has to work very, very hard if it wants to go and win audiences. I could definitely see a glimmer of hope in this, but it really has to do a lot. That's honestly my feeling. I want to stay optimistic. I want to root for this project in order to bring a new interpretation of Watership Down and reintroduce this story to new audiences. But oh boy, if it failed, like if the other elements are not good enough, then honestly, the poor animation is going to just tarnish everything. So yeah, honestly, it really has to do a lot. When is it coming out, you ask? Well, it seems that it's going to be coming out sometime at the end of the year, I believe. It's going to be very soon. I don't believe it has a release date right over here, but from my understanding, I do believe it's stated that for both BBC and Netflix is going to be coming out sometime this Christmas. So by the end of this month, you will be seeing it very soon. So I don't know the specifics really, but I know it's going to be somewhere close this Christmas. So the best answer that I can give you is going to be in a few weeks. So with all that said and done, let us go ahead into the chat wall, and I want to know from you guys, what do you think of this trailer of Watership Down? Does it make you excited to see a new interpretation of the story? Are you guys pretty doubtful about how it looks? Is the animation too much of a turnoff? I want to know what you think. Okay, let's see here. I love the original 1978 Watership Down animated film as a kid. Oddly, in my country, it used to air on Disney Channel. Holy crap, the irony. Not looking forward to this version, primarily because of its bad animation. They should have gotten Impossible Pictures, the makers of the 1999 Walking with Dinosaurs, to animate this. Alright, I'm honestly a bit mixed. On one hand, it has the Richard Adams feel, as well as great cast, but on the other hand, the animation looks almost unfinished, with a very diminishing lack of texture. Actually, here's an interesting fact. The original Watership Down film was rated U in UK. I am in confusion. I'm guessing rated U is pretty much like rated G, right? Yeah, not necessarily that surprising. Especially, like, it's back during an era before PG-13 was a thing, so that's not necessarily that surprising. Let's see. I could already see that everybody is pretty much stating about where the animation should have been done. It doesn't matter, guys. We're left with this crappy animation. Let's see. At least the beast has a fully rendered fur, so I have to disagree. The beast. Well, it depends on what you mean, the beast. Do you mean the one for the live action remake of Beauty and the Beast? I mean, yeah, like that one has texture. It doesn't have a good design, though. Let's see. I don't like that the rabbits die. I'm not sure if I want to see it. If you don't want to see rabbits dying, don't watch Watership Down. Holy crap. There are dead rabbits as much as there is, like, if it was a freaking war movie. Not only dead rabbits, but you also see tortured rabbits. So yeah, if you don't want to see the bunnies getting a boo-boo, don't watch Watership Down. Holy crap. Please don't. You're lucky that this thing doesn't show anything too crazy. Oh, jeez. Alright. So I think from there, it looks like we're pretty much all good with this trailer of Watership Down. So at this point, let's just hope for the best that the animation can be overshadowed with some great quality writing and, you know, great quality acting and all that kind of stuff. Let's hope for the best for this Watership Down adaptation, but it doesn't look good, I can definitely tell you that. Alright, but anyways, let's go ahead and move on to our next story, which we're going to be talking about a cartoon character that is celebrating its 90th anniversary. And no, I am not talking about Mickey Mouse, but instead, I'm talking about another classic cartoon character, Popeye. And apparently, he is going to be getting a brand new animated series in honor of his 90th anniversary. But it's not necessarily what you think, though. It's gonna look like something like this. Yes, because apparently, what Popeye is going to be getting is an animated series, but it's going to be more just a collection of shorts that you can only get on YouTube. So, reading from my source here in the New York Times, it says that with this brand new series, the shorts and a new series of comic strips, which will begin in 2019, were created to celebrate the character's 90th birthday next year. In the animated series, Popeye is being recast as a more youthful, environmentally resourceful fellow who lives in a washed-ashore houseboat, collects rainwater, and grows his own spinach. Are skinny jeans and kale salads far behind? So yeah, like you could definitely tell that Popeye seems to be a little bit more younger, and he even has hair. Like that seems to be a new thing. And speaking of big changes, I think the biggest one is not necessarily Popeye that seems to be the most different from from like what we've seen him in the past, like with the cartoons. Check out Bluto right over here. Holy crap, he shaved. Bluto frickin' shaved for some reason. I mean, it's almost iconic the fact that Bluto would always have a beard, but for some reason, Bluto is like clean shaved. There is no fuzz anywhere around his mouth, which is kind of weird, and I guess that could be something that people will really need to get used to. So, it also states here that apparently the 25 2-minute shorts are aimed at young audiences, having been produced by WildBrain, whose programming network includes children's program Yo Gabba Gabba. The episodes have sound effects but no dialogue, a nod to YouTube's global reach. The shorts will be as funny here as they will be in Bangladesh, says Niraj oh fudge, this is a hard name to pronounce. Niraj Klemlani, the president of Hearst Entertainment and Syndication, which owns King Features, which syndicates the Popeye strips. And you know what? You know, let's give this one a little bit of a chance, because we actually do have one of the cartoons here called Follow the Spinach, which apparently is a part of the new series that is going to be called Popeye's Island Adventures. So let's go ahead and have our first look at this new Popeye cartoon. And that was the first of the 25 cartoons of Popeye. And, okay, let me just tell you right now. Yeah, this sucks. This honestly really sucks. I'm not gonna deny this. I mean, at the very least, like, of course, this is very similar to the recent news regarding Woody Woodpecker, where now Woody Woodpecker is going to be getting a collection of cartoons. But at the very least, with the Woody Woodpecker one, on that part, at least there is some form of quality. You could tell that they want to stay true to the spirit of Woody Woodpecker, And, they do try a little bit with some of the voice acting, and even some of the animation can actually be pretty good, despite, for the most part, being Flash animation. This one, however, wow, does it suck. Like, the designs are a definite downgrade, and the animation, this is like complete Flash animation. This is complete low-quality, lazy Flash animation, and it is bad. And even in terms of some of the changes, it's definitely noticeable that they want to try to make a more environmentally friendly Popeye, which I don't necessarily get why this is much of an emergency to make Popeye more environmentally friendly, but I don't know, like, the changes, they just don't make sense. Like, now Bluto is no longer chasing olive oil, now Bluto is trying to go and try to get Popeye's spinach. Which, you know what they've done here? They actually reduced Popeye into a whole, like, this is a whole plot line for a freaking cereal commercial. This is like, this honestly feels like a godforsaken cereal commercial where you got that one bad guy that's like, oh, I'm about to get this delicious cereal. Oh no, they found me. Ah! It feels like it's that kind of thing with Popeye. That's what they're doing. But instead of cereal, it's pretty much spinach, in which Popeye grows himself for some reason. Like, he can't just get it in a can. He needs to collect the spinach, like, one by one, and put it in a can. Wait, someone asked, who's the baby next to Popeye and olive oil? Well, the baby is nothing new. The baby is actually a recurring character in the Popeye cartoons, like the weird yellow thing, which I don't know his name. I'm not too familiar with Popeye, I will be honest. It's not just Popeye, olive oil, and Bluto, but you got the baby who's commonly there, and you also got this yellow dude for some reason. Like, he's always floating around in the Popeye cartoons for some reason. Yeah, Popeye's son, exactly. But yeah, overall, it's just that with this thing, it's all this massive downgrade. And honestly, like, I want to be positive about this. Like, I want to share the same kind of enthusiasm that I did with the Woody Woodpecker cartoons. Like, sure, like, those Woody Woodpecker cartoons, they don't look good. But at the very least, I do appreciate that they are keeping the spirit of Woody Woodpecker alive. That they are trying to do some new stuff with him and giving their audience more of Woody Woodpecker, showing them more love, especially in countries like Brazil. But in this one, like, yeah, you could debate that it's doing the same thing. It's trying to keep the spirit of Popeye alive, but here it's just, I feel like Popeye deserves better than this, especially for his 90th anniversary. And, this is a definite downgrade compared to what Mickey Mouse has gotten, like with a TV show, parties all around the Disney parks, an art exhibition in New York City, and all that kind of stuff. And Popeye, he's stuck with a cheap little YouTube cartoon. It's kind of sad, really. It's kind of sad seeing how Popeye is completely reduced to this. And you know what's actually very interesting? The thing is, with this cartoon, is that it actually is noted to be so bad, it's been getting a whole lot of backlash. Like, you think there are a lot of people right now that could be complaining about the Watership Down series that could be coming up? There's so much backlash and so much hate against this new Popeye cartoon that I think it's either WildBrain or Hearst Entertainment that they have to step in and have to address this on social media, on Twitter. That actually did happen. I don't have the link right now. I don't know if they have deleted it, but I did remember that they did actually went and addressed it to the point that's how far that the backlash has pretty much gotten with this cartoon. But yeah, overall, this is just sad, honestly. Like, honestly, I'm not against the Popeye cartoons, and I remember seeing a few of them in the past, and, they are fun. They can be highly enjoyable, and I can definitely see how a lot of them are even noted as some of the best cartoons. Like, whenever you see people making their own lists of the best cartoons ever created, one of the most common ones that you would ever find is Popeye versus Sinbad the Sailor, which is definitely a cartoon that is worth checking out. And honestly, the whole thing here is just that it is rather sad to see Popeye being completely reduced into something that we don't even recognize anymore. This doesn't even feel like a Popeye cartoon. At least with the Woody Woodpecker cartoons that they're doing right now, they do feel like legitimate Woody Woodpecker cartoons. This doesn't really feel like Popeye at all. It just doesn't. It feels more like a godforsaken cereal commercial. And honestly, Popeye just deserves better. And for me, like, if I would have a decision as to why I would like to see, and yeah, I do see how a lot of people are pointing out that, yes, the baby is named Sweet Pea, and apparently the yellow thing his name is Eugene the Jeep. So, yes, thank you for the clarification. But anyways, but honestly, I would like to see a comeback of Popeye. I would like to see Popeye being a noteworthy cartoon again, kind of like what we're currently seeing with Mickey Mouse right now. I would like to see Popeye, getting his own television series, like legitimately something that would air on either Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network and be highly prominent as a cartoon star again. But honestly, with this, I just feel like Popeye definitely does deserve better. And with that cartoon, it's a sad sight. It really is. Like, holy crap. Honestly, that's all I could say about it, is that Popeye deserves better than this. He definitely does. Okay, so with that said, I want to go into the chat wall right now, and I would like to ask you guys, what do you think about this Popeye cartoon? What do you think about Popeye's new look? Popeye's new environmentally safety aim? I just want to know, what do you think? Alright, let's see. Woody Woodpecker actually felt in character. The character feels very out of character. Bluto is also spinach sexual? Okay! I don't know if Bluto would want to have the same intentions as to why he wants olive oil as much as he would want spinach. It's like, nah, I'm not into women. I'm into edible plants. I'm into Popeye spinach. That thing is sexy. Spinach be thick, yo. I don't think it's that, man. Ugh. Oh, boy. Alright, let's see. With the new Woody Woodpecker cartoons, at least they have a documentary about the new tunes with a little bit about his legacy. I'm not even sure if they will do a documentary for this Popeye cartoon series. It is sad, and Popeye deserves much better. Yeah, I don't think they're going to do a documentary on this one. I could definitely tell you that. Alright. I usually tend to not be negative, but yeah, this really does not look very good. I'll give it for at least staying close to the original character design, but aside of that, it completely misuses the essence of what makes the Fleischer and Famous Studio cartoons work in the first place. Yes, the Famous Studios cartoons are inferior to the Fleischer ones, but they do have their moments at times and are still fun to watch. Unlike this new upcoming YouTube series, overall, I am not going to see it. Oh boy, there's a lot of backlash on this. What did they do to Popeye? What was once a wholesome cartoon with entertaining environments and has been reduced to something my 6-month-old nephew would enjoy. Show of hands. Who bets that Popeye and Olive Oil are going to do a video flossing to the tune of Johnny Johnny? No, they won't. No, they won't. Because they even stated that there's no dialogue here. They cannot speak. Oh my god, but imagine just like this entire Popeye Johnny Johnny cartoon. Oh my god. Like, well, they got the baby involved, so who knows? Like, we'll see Popeye go in. Sweet pea, sweet pea, sweet pea, yes, Papa. Eating eating my spinach. No, no, pa 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 pa, no, no, pa 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 pa, no, no, pa 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 pa, no, pa pa. No, I'm not gonna do the whole thing. Good God, we have already passed that. We've already killed off this entire thing. We don't need to revive Popeye. We need to revive Popeye in a better way than this. We don't need to revive Johnny Johnny. Maybe they'll do that in frickin', or maybe like they'll do that in frickin' Boss Baby 2. Who knows? Alright, but anyways, yeah, so I think we need to go ahead and move on from this. And, Yeah, we need to go and try to wash off all this bad taste. And I do not want to go and end this off on a negative note, folks, because we are now up to the grand finale. And for this one right over here, I know that we have been pretty negative so far, especially with this awful looking Popeye cartoon and the bad animation of Watership Down. But this one right over here, the only thing that I could say, it's going to be a little bit of a bonus miscellaneous. It's not necessarily going to be about animation. But the only thing I could say about this one, you gotta see this. You guys, just watch.
I just can't wait for guests to see it. I can't wait for myself to experience it.
So, yes, folks, what you have witnessed here is the first behind-the-scenes look at an upcoming Tokyo Disneyland attraction called Enchanted Tale of Beauty and the Beast. And basically what it is essentially, it's basically you ride the movie. You're going to experience a bit of an abridged version of the animated 1991 movie, where you go into Beast Castle, and you relive many of the great moments in Beauty and the Beast, like Be Our Guest, something there that wasn't there before. Then there's like the Beauty and the Beast song, like you go into the big ballroom and all that kind of stuff. So they want to try to recreate that to life, and the outdoor facade, of course, is Beast's Castle. Now, again, this is not going to be in the Americas. This is apparently in Tokyo Disneyland. And the funny thing to mention about this is that originally they just posted this on the YouTube channel of Tokyo Disneyland. So it was only meant for Japanese people to go and check it out, even though like it was all in English, like people were speaking in English like this. They had like Japanese subtitles explaining everything to the Japanese audiences. But then suddenly it caught on social media, and more people are starting to notice it. And from there, Disney decided, okay, they noticed that, okay, things are really catching up with this. People are noticing we're doing this, so might as well post it on our official Disney Parks YouTube channel. And it really launched off. And before I get into this, I just want to start things off by mentioning that I'm not necessarily that huge of a fan when it comes to these ride the movie type of things. You know, they're not necessarily all that great. And Disney has done some of them. Like if you've been to a Disney park, then you have probably gone into one yourself. Like, especially if you went to Disneyland, then you went into the Alice in Wonderland ride, or you went to Peter Pan's Flight, or even like some of the more recent ones, like Ariel's Undersea Adventure. You know, they're not necessarily all that fun because, like, if you know the movie, then you know what you're getting yourself into, especially the fact that it is a very condensed and a very abridged version of what you would go into. Now, like, even with me, this year, I did go into Ariel's Undersea Adventure, and for me, it's like, you know, that's how I feel. It's mostly I mean, like, there's a lot of great effects in there, especially with great animatronics, especially with the Ursula one, but other than that, there's nothing too nothing too special about the attraction that really does click with me. Like, you really do have you really need to have like a personal connection with the animated film in order to fully immerse yourself with the ride in there. But I will say that with Beauty and the Beast, Beauty and the Beast, I will say, it's one of my favorite animated films ever. It's one of my favorite Disney films. Like, legit right up there with Fantasia. Like, it is really the closest thing to a perfect animated feature. And it really does set the standard of how Disney princess type movies, they really should, like, they need to be that. Like, that's how they should be. Do Tokyo Disneyland rides have English or Japanese audio? I can already answer that right now and say that it's all Japanese audio, so you don't really get an English version when you go into the rides. They will have English writing in some of the rides, but it's mostly Japanese audio. But yeah, honestly, yeah, as I was saying, I love Beauty and the Beast, and seeing this come to life, honestly, even for me, someone who's not huge on those ride the movie kind of things, this looks phenomenal. Like, holy crap, does it look absolutely beautiful. Like, you can already see in terms of the outdoor facade that they're doing their best in order to go and recreate Belle's village. Like, to go and, to bring that to life. A little bit like how they did that in Disney World, where you do get a little bit of that feel of the village that Belle lives in, and especially have that one tavern that's based on Beauty and the Beast, like the one from, like, with Gaston and all that kind of stuff, in which, it looks like they are going to recreate that. Like, you do see a little bit of that Gaston statue on the side right over here, but I will say the one thing that really does impress me the most so far is with the animatronics, and they look absolutely beautiful. Like, you go into the middle, I think, like, the biggest highlight probably of all this is the one where you see Belle just walking with the lantern, and what presumably seems like she just entered into the castle, and you actually see her, like, walking in, and, like, even her face, like, you look closely, like, it's fully expressive. It's amazing to look at. And, it's kind of funny to mention because, like, with what they have done here, with how highly impressive that the Imagineers have done in order to create these animatronics, like, you look again, seeing how Belle moves. Like, I don't know if this really says a lot about how amazing the Imagineers are in order to create the animatronics. Like, this Belle, like, the thing is, I don't know if it's really amazing how this animatronic Belle looks realistic, or if it really says a lot about the live-action remake and how terrible Emma Watson is, where her acting is a lot more robotic than the actual robot Belle. It could be one or the other. Or maybe it is a case of both, that the Imagineers are amazing to bring Belle to life, and that Emma Watson is just a really terrible actress for her interpretation of bringing Belle to life. Well, interpretation, I mean, it would make a lot more sense if she was doing, like, some kind of Five Nights at Freddy's kind of movie. But no, in this case, like, this is just absolutely amazing with what they have done. And especially, like, this isn't the only one that we have seen. We've also seen Belle interacting with the horse Philippe, in which, like, this is the scene, of course, like, it's set outside, judging by what she's wearing, for the Something There scene, and they did show a little bit of a preview that they are gonna show that people are gonna be ice skating while Beast is gonna be on the side looking forward and, looking at the whole scenery, which is honestly very interesting to mention because we did not see everything here. Like, we only got a little bit of a taste. Like, we've seen some shots of the Belle animatronic, and, like, even though, like, for the Be Our Guest scene, the most that we have seen is just Belle just dancing and experiencing everything. But one thing that I'm really excited to see that we have yet to figure out what it's going to look like, the Beast. Because at the most, the only thing that we have seen with the Beast animatronic is just his back. Like, we see Belle and Beast, they're just looking outside, enjoying the view after they had their little dance to the Beauty and the Beast song, and we only see his back. We don't see his front. Now, this, honestly, is going to be like, this is the part where it's going to be really interesting. This is going to be the part to see, like, okay, we know how they're going to do Belle, and it's really impressive with what they did with her animatronic, but now I want to see how they're going to pull off a Beast animatronic, and that is going to be really exciting. Now, there's a lot of moments that are going to be really exciting to go and check out. Like, of course, one thing I'm really excited to see also is going to be how are they going to pull off the whole Be Our Guest scene. Like, that is going to be completely epic. But the Beast, I'm sure that it's going to be such a technological highlight. Like, it's going to be like the animatronic of the year when they would reveal the Beast. And honestly, it does make me pretty jealous of the Japanese that they are getting such a highly detailed attraction like this. Like, it is absolutely beautiful, and the fact that they're doing it with one of their best animated films, I'm sure this attraction is going to be a major hit with guests. And especially they're not doing with the, like, you know, especially like they're working on the original animated version, and like they're not doing anything with the inferior garbage live action version. At least, you know, it's great to know that like with the animated version, they are giving it more awareness and they're making this one a lot more timeless. Now, one more thing that I would like to mention that is actually very interesting is that even though this is only going to be in Tokyo Disneyland, there are already rumors that are starting to spread around, and that apparently there could be a chance that there's going to be a clone of this in one of the American theme parks. Like, this could be either in Disneyland or Disney World, but most likely in Disneyland. But this definitely does sound exciting. And with what they have presented here, and with such the high praise that they have gotten with what they have presented with just these clips alone, like, there is no way that Disney cannot just do this, you know? They cannot just present it at Tokyo Disneyland, and that's pretty much it. They need to go and build another one. Rather it be in Paris or in Disneyland or whatever, there's going to be another one that will happen, and I'm sure it's going to be by popular demand. And honestly, I could see Disney benefiting greatly. Now, we might not see that happen until, like, if that would be the case, that another Enchanted Tale of Beauty and the Beast would actually happen, we might not see it until, like, 2022 or even 2024. But in this case right over here, it just absolutely looks stunning, and I cannot wait to see more of what Disney would deliver with this. I'm sure this is going to be a highlight at next year's D23 Expo, where they could talk about a little bit more in depth of what they're going to deliver with this attraction, but oh my god, it just, like, just looking at this, it absolutely looks stunning, and I wish I could ride this myself. Like, if I have an opportunity to go to Tokyo, I'll definitely go onto this one. But even at Tokyo, we still have to wait a little bit. They're still way in development when it comes to making this, and the attraction isn't going to open until like 2020 at Tokyo Disneyland, so we still have a little bit of a long wait, which in fact it says in spring 2020, so about a year and a half. But still, oh my god, this looks absolutely amazing, and you know, I just cannot wait to see more of it, because honestly, this is like truly reliving the moment. Like, if I want actually to relive the experience of Beauty and the Beast, I'm not going to take the live action version. This is the one that I need. This is just absolutely great. I need to check this out. It is absolutely beautiful. Okay, so with all that said and done, now that I have showed this to you, I would like to know, what do you think, guys, about Enchanted Tale of Beauty and the Beast? What do you think of what the Imagineers are currently making so far? Are you guys really impressed with it? Are you guys excited to see what it is? Are you guys not interested? I would like to know. Let me know your thoughts on this. Let's see now. Speaking of rumors, earlier this year, there is a rumor about Epcot getting an Indian Pavilion and a possible Jungle Book ride. If that is true, would you be excited to go on that ride? I would definitely be interested. I would definitely be curious, but I think at this point we'll have to wait until next year at D23 Expo to see if that would actually be true. I can definitely see how a Jungle Book ride can actually be pulled off pretty well, but yeah, we do have to wait and see. And it definitely is true when you do think about it that a ride lot, you know, a place like Epcot, like in World Showcase, yeah, it definitely needs updating in a few places, not just in France. Let's see. I want to care, but it's in Tokyo. You could still care, even if it is in Tokyo. I mean, Tokyo Disneyland has a lot of great attractions. In fact, a lot of people even state that Tokyo Disney Sea is actually the greatest theme park that Disney has ever created. And if you look at some of the videos about what they have done there, it's actually phenomenal. Like, some of the rides absolutely look phenomenal. Even some, like, especially with some of the original ones, and even their interpretation of Tower of Terror is actually highly interesting, and I recommend checking out. Let's see. It looks amazing. I'm impressed by it, and I wish I could experience it because I am a huge fan of the 1991 Disney animated classic and the 2017 live-action remake. I remember seeing Beauty and the Beast play once, and it was awesome. The animatronics look so impressive. Oh, yeah. That is definitely true. They definitely do look impressive. I mean, Disney has currently tried to do some different things with their animatronics in recent years, but with this one, it does look like they're going back in their classic format, but they know how to make their animatronics look a lot more expressive, which is actually great. Let's see. I'm interested in the Beauty and the Beast ride. The animatronics look impressive, but it's far since it's in Tokyo. Honestly, it's funny how apparently Tokyo seems to be the biggest turnoff. It's like, oh, it looks awesome, but I don't care. It's in Tokyo. Who cares? So, you can still be impressive. You can still be impressed. You can still be excited for it. I mean, even though it won't be in Tokyo, you can still check it out, on YouTube. I'm sure that when the ride opens, there will be a lot of YouTube videos that will highlight the ride itself. So, you can still look forward to that if you wish. Okay. I'll bet at the D23 Expo, and I just hope they announce more soon. Oh, I'm sure they definitely would. They definitely would. So, I think with all that said and done, I think that is pretty much it with this episode. I think we're pretty much all good. And yes, that will pretty much conclude with this episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. So I would just like to say thank you all so much for watching, and thank you all so much for listening as well. We definitely had a lot of fun checking out a lot of the nominations and checking out some of the new cartoons, and especially checking out the new ride of Beauty and the Beast. And hopefully next week we will have a lot more interesting stories, and we will have a lot more interesting news to go and talk about. So with all that said, I would like to say thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, see you later, dudes!